Visual CV has had a refresh, and in this video I'm going to give you my initial impressions and thoughts about the new interface. Hi there, I'm Dr. Anthony Llewellyn. I'm the career doctor. I'm here to give you the best medical career advice on YouTube, LinkedIn and Facebook. So many of you know that I'm a big fan of online CV builders, and the product that I'm currently using and have been using for many years is Visual CV. So if you're a client working with me, which you can be if you want to be, we'll be using generally Visual CV to help with your CV or resume. So I'll leave some links in the description below about how you can become a client, or if you're interested in checking out Visual CV, I will leave an affiliate link in the description below. But the subject of this video is the new interface for Visual CV. Now, if you just go to the Visual CV landing page or homepage, which is visualcv.com, and you've been using Visual CV recently, you probably won't notice a lot of difference. But if we go into login and you haven't logged in for, say, a few weeks now, you will see something completely different to what you're generally used to. There is a new dashboard. So this is the main change that has been implemented. They released this just prior to Christmas 2021. And I think it looks fantastic, actually. I think it clears up a lot of challenges that I was finding with clients that were using the Visual CV product. Yeah, I think overall I really do like it. I think the main thing that I particularly like is we now have thumbnails. So previously, if you remember with Visual CV, if you had a number of CVs, you'd have a list of them in your dashboard, but you didn't, other than making sure that you titled it right and said this CV was this year for this job or whatever, it wasn't clear what you were going to look at when you clicked on it. But now you've got a visual representation, a thumbnail of what the, I guess, first page in CV or resume looks like. And apparently you also get that with cover letters. And if you're using the new website functionality, which is just basically a way of transferring a CV or resume into a kind of a web format, you get a thumbnail of that as well. So I think this is good. This is going to be really helpful, particularly for people who are using Visual CV over a long period of time and hey, maybe have put together a number of resumes and wanting to quickly get to the one that they want to work on. The other thing that I think they've cleared up, this is something you could have done previously, but if you hover over, you notice you've got a few options here. You can go into edit, you can download as a PDF quickly, which is great. You can share a link if you want to share it on the web. But if you also click on this, you can see that you can pin certain CVs, you can download it in a Word beta. That's kind of a bit hit or miss still, but you can duplicate and you can get your stats and you can alter your settings, but you can duplicate your CV. So one thing that I think wasn't quite obvious from the previous Visual CV, and I think is a little bit more obvious this time, is that you were always able to start your next CV with a previous CV. So the way that used to work was you click on create your resume for a job, and they would give you this option to copy an existing resumes, but it wasn't obvious because it says, create a resume. So you think, oh, do I have to start a new one? But I usually recommend that you do start with an existing CV. It's just generally each time you're wanting to make some changes, you do want to make sure that you haven't left anything in there that's not good for the current job. But usually if you start with a previous CV, that's going to accelerate your time. And it's one of the reasons and benefits of having an online CV builder. So I think that's great. So we've got resumes, and of course we can then go and see all our resumes. So we get a kind of, a different sort of dashboard here, and we can pin resumes. So we can put our favorite ones up the top, and they will also show through in the main dashboard. I'll show you how that works. So if I say, pick on this one here, pin. So that should now be there, Michael Jones, and then I go to the main one and that'll be sitting there as well. So that's good. So we've got a second kind of dashboard where again, we can see all our previous CVs and resumes. Now, some of these don't have thumbnails. I think this is because they're sort of older. Probably your easy thing is just to copy it and start again, and it will show up as a thumbnail, but you can probably also contact Visual CV and ask them for a little bit of assistance there. So going back to the dashboard, so we've got the top here in the heading bar, we've got resumes, websites, cover letters, career journal. That's also always been there, but it's kind of not been obvious to people what that is. I don't use it as yet personally, but I think this would be a good spot to, if you're going to keep a reflective journal in your training, to do that. And then again, you may be able to draw on that for inspiration for your resume in the future. So that's kind of a sort of extra added bonus for people. Nothing really has changed in terms of when you go into edit. same sort of look and feel. Well, maybe the menu has changed a little bit. I think it's a little bit more obvious where you can download now. I think this preview mode is new. However, this is where I would sort of start to say that there could be some extra improvement over time, because the issue with the preview mode, and I'll show you this now if I go into download and download this as a PDF, this resume actually goes just for 2 pages, but the preview doesn't give you the page breaks. And it would be really handy if it could. So I'm regularly in conversation with some of the people at Visual CV because I am a pro user, so to speak. And this was probably a suggestion that I would sort of put forward to them for something to improve in the future. So we've got a preview mode, which is new. I think the share button's new, more obvious place to download it. You've got the option of a PDF, which is what I generally recommend. You can download it in a Word beta, but often you'll find you'll get some formatting problems, and it only works for certain CV templates as well. Not much else has really altered from the product that you're probably used to if you've been using in the last few months, other than also to say that there are a number of new templates. So what we've got here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new templates, which, may be worth playing around with and seeing if you like. Remember, some of these will have photos on them, but you don't necessarily need to add a photo. So as you know, I don't advise putting a photo on a kind of professional CV or resume. May work if you're in a kind of more creative industry, but certainly not in a professional CV. So a few more options to play with. Unfortunately, none that are, I guess this is split, but I would, again, another thing I've said to the Visual CV marketing team is I'd like to see a few more right-handed format, double column CVs, by which I mean the shorter column is on the right rather than on the left would be good. Because I've tried a few of these others, but generally I find this is my preferred template, the modern. I think that gives you your best effect. So anyway, some new templates to play around with as well, which is also welcome. So that is a wrap up of my initial impressions with the new user interface for Visual CV. Overall, I think a good improvement. It'd be great to see some new developments around the editing side of CVs going into the future. But really well done, guys, Visual CV. And please check it out if you haven't checked it out recently.